We're on the record, the time is 12:56 p.m.
Okay, Sheriff, we're just continuing on with questions. First of all, we talked to you a little bit about your wife, Vanessa. When did you get married? Remember what month and year?
It's a test. On October 14th, 2020.
Okay. But were you dating her before then?
Yes, sir.
For how many years?
3.
Okay. And you mentioned to us earlier that, relating to the statement that you made to the press, that your wife found the text messages and went through them and confronted you with them?
Correct.
Did you ever review the text messages to determine whether they were accurate or not?
No, sir.
So you just trusted whatever she told you?
I just knew, Counselor, I knew what was sent between us, and I could just imagine what was in there.
Okay. And did you ever tell Detective Gonzalez at any time during his investigation of your relationship with Miss Chandler?
I don't believe I ever did.
And did you ever ask him to go and look at the text messages?
No, sir.
And did you know at the time of the investigation back in May of 2020 that he had actually downloaded her phone?
Question again, please?
Did you know whether Detective Gonzalez had actually downloaded Miss Chandler's phone back in May of 2020?
I believe I did at that point. I mean, that was part of what they were doing with the initial investigation.
And at that time, were you concerned that there might be information on the phone that would reveal this relationship you had?
No, sir.
And why not?
I didn't put that much into the relationship as what you seem to be making it. That once again is a relationship issue, has no bearing on this case. It is wrong of me to do that to my then now wife. But I want to note that I was single at the time. When Dr. Khan done what he done, he was married.
Okay. And the conversation you made, though, were to a married person as well, right?
For him. More so to her to me, but once again, they're wrong.
Okay. And so, by the way, did you know Dr. Khan's wife? Are you familiar with her?
I don't think I ever met her.
Okay. And so when we've reviewed the text message between you and Ms. Chandler prior to May 5th, and then we discussed text messages after May 5th. I want to go back to the text messages after May 5th, if you don't mind. You have the exhibit in front of you. It's Exhibit 5. I have some more questions. The first page of it, if you go to the first page, sir, and I didn't understand your question. When Miss Chandler talks to you, 8 more ladies have come forward, and you say a couple to city. Were you referring to Okeechobee County, the city of Okeechobee?
Correct.
Okay, and you said that you believe that was based on rumor.
Rumor or newspaper? I don't really remember.
Okay, so you're not telling her a fact that you've gathered as the sheriff.
I'm not gathering any facts to do with it or not. I'm not doing the investigation.
I understand that, but when you say this to her, you're telling me you don't have personal knowledge of and a couple to city.
Correct.
Okay. And on page 4 of this exhibit, Exhibit 5, you stated at the top, Javier can do that if he agrees with your changes. You were referring to Mr. Gonzalez in this conversation?
Correct.
Okay. And what is it that Mr. Gonzalez can do regarding changes to reports?
We don't make any changes with what he would have to agree upon reading what's said here is that he would have to agree to add the additional information as supplemental.
Okay. Now, when a person delays in reporting an incident, are you trained as a deputy to learn the reasons for the delay?
Form.
I think that that's pertinent to, to why, it's something that the investigator should find out, but it's not unusual in these type of cases.
Have you been involved in cases yourself where a person's delayed and then you investigated the reason for the delay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you ever found, based upon that review of the reason for the delay, that it might be for reasons that are, related to extortion or something of that nature?
Form, you can answer.
Alternative motives, methods, I agree with.
Okay. On page 10 of this exhibit, sir, there is an attachment. It looks like an incident report attached as a part of the text. You see that?
Okay.
And the text says these were the only discrepancies, just for your knowledge. Had you seen this report before it was provided to you in this text message?
I can't even see what it is, to be completely honest.
Did you ever receive or review any report from
Not that I recall.
let me say who it's from Deputy Gonzalez?
I didn't recall, reviewing any reports to do with from anybody, whether it's Deputy Gonzalez or anybody.
And on the next page, we started to talk about this page, but then we got diverted. Miss Chandler's asking whether she can charge Dr. Khan with sexual battery on a disabled person. And your response is you need to talk to the prosecutor. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
Did you ever have a phone conversation at that time with Miss Chandler about the charges being elevated to sexual battery?
Not that I recall.
Okay. And then, if we go to page 15, there's an attachment, and it says Dr. Khan license.pdf. Did you hear? ? So your response was, I didn't, but that's proof you're doing the right thing. Do you recall what you were reviewing when you said you're doing the right thing?
Without seeing what's on the document, it would be a pure assumption on my part.
Okay, I'm going to show you then. I'm going to mark as Exhibit 11. That's our next one. Yeah, 11. We have one. And this is the order of emergency restriction of license.
Okay.
It's dated July 15, 2020, and this text to you is July 17, 2020. Had you ever seen this order of emergency restriction of license before?
As depicted in my text message, no, sir.
Okay. When you received it in the text message, did you click on it and open it and look at it?
I would assume that I did because I stated that I didn't. So I would assume that I had browsed it, bruised it, whatever the verbiage is for that.
Okay, and this restriction, if you go to the last page of it, page 6 of 6, it says...
Of 11? Exhibit 11?
Yeah, Exhibit 11, sorry, page 6 of 6. It just states that the license of Saeed Khan is immediately restricted to prohibit Dr. Khan from treating and interacting with female patients. Do you see that?
Okay.
Did you understand that to be a restriction that Dr. Khan then had at that point?
Form.
I don't believe I ever saw that.
Okay. So you don't believe that when you received this text with this image that you actually read it?
I think I would just see the front page, and that's as far as I'd go into it, because my answers on here are not concerning.
Okay. The front page says that the statute authorizes the department to summarily restrict Dr. Khan's license to practice medicine. Did you understand that?
I would say that that's probably as far as I got.
Okay. So you understood that Dr. Khan's license was being suspended or was suspended?
It was under some kind of scrutiny. I would
Okay.
say yes, I agree with that.
And do you know whether that scrutiny had to do with Ms. Chandler's allegations?
No clue.
Okay. Do you know of any other reason why his license would be suspended?
No, sir.
Okay. But you said here, but that's proof you're doing the right thing. So you'd agree that you connected the license suspension to Ms. Chandler.
I don't think I know. I would say that his license relates to Dr. Khan as what I see on the front page. So I
Right.
don't know. I don't know what it's based on. I would just make the assumption that it had to do with what's been reported and done with her case, but I don't know that as we're sitting here today.
But your response was, I didn't, but that's proof you're doing the right thing.
Well, you're deciphering my response one way, I'm deciphering it another way, sir. So it's assumption on your part as well as mine because I don't recall the conversation.
So you don't know what you meant when you wrote that?
It's hard to say.
Okay.
But I will say that I did not care about it no more than I put in it.
You mean you didn't care about whether Dr. Khan's license was suspended or not?
Correct.
Okay. Now, did you care about what was happening or what Ms. Chandler had alleged happened?
No, sir.
So you didn't care whether she had been actually battered or not?
You know, that I have to, as you well know, I got to differentiate myself with the system. The system is not always the best for anybody.
I understand, but as I read your text messages with her prior to this allegation, you appeared to be very concerned with what was going on in her life, at least from your text messages.
As well as I was the docs.
Well, I'm not talking about what was happening with the doctor. I'm talking about with...
Well, I'm talking about both of them. They're both my friends, so I care about them both.
Right, but I don't have text messages between you and the doctor.
You got a phone call and my testimony.
Right, I don't have text messages between you and the doctor talking about how you feel about her or how you feel about him. All I have are between you and her.
And your assumption, yes, sir, you're correct.
Okay. And you said all I have are 2 phone conversations, but I don't actually have phone conversations, do I?
No, you got the doc's recollection and my recollection, and then your speculation.
Okay. And what is your recollection of the second call?
I once again state that I want to say that was the conversation we had after the article in the newspaper that I was upset about.
Did you mention Tony Bishop to Dr. Khan?
Don't recall.
Could you have?
I don't know why I would.
Well, did you learn that Tony Bishop had been interviewed by Dr. Khan's lawyer at that time?
I think that our conversation was solely very short, and it was to do with the news article, and that was the extent of it. You know, and Dr. Khan's understanding of why I was upset and how it was misconstrued is the best of my recollection.
You don't recall getting a call from Tony Bishop around the time you called Dr. Khan complaining about Dr. Khan's lawyer snooping around?
I don't recall that, no, sir.
Okay. Did you know Tony Bishop very well?
We were friends. Yep.
So it'd be someone you would talk to?
Without it, as you see in my phone, I pick up the phone. I'm very prompt on my phone.
Okay. Now, going along those same conversations, we're on page
15.
Yes, 15, but let's go. On June 19, 2020, on page 25 of this exhibit, the question is, Woo, what happens now? Do you literally go and arrest? And your response was, he lives in Stewart, so they won't go get him. So we called him to come get arrested tonight. Who is we, if you recall?
Sheriff's office.
Okay. Would that have been you?
I'm part of the sheriff's office.
Okay. So that's yes. You called him on June 19th, 2020 to get arrested.
Okay.
Is that yes or I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Well, that's what it states.
Okay. And then Ms. Chandler says that she's in an inpatient mental health facility in Clearwater at that time. Do you have any idea what she was in an inpatient mental health facility for?
I don't even feed into it.
Okay. When you say feed into it, what does that mean?
There's drama going on, as you tell in my text messages. I'm very vague and to the point.
But help me understand, if there's drama going on in your text messages, why are you also flirting with her?
I think that's no longer happening because of the drama.
Okay. But I have some text messages from April of 2020, a month or a couple months earlier that you
Okay.
are flirtatious.
Okay. We're in June.
So what happens between
Drama.
drama? So because of drama, you're no longer flirting with her.
Correct. And I'm with another woman.
Okay. Meaning you're married?
I'm not married. It's June.
Okay.
Dr. Khan's married, though. So note.
Oh, we know.
Okay. Thank you, Doc. Please note, the doc just give the sheriff. You had a cramp in his hand with the middle finger up.
No, actually, was it middle or?
It was
mouth?
it was middle, sir. I think it's right in the camera.
I saw
Good.
it. I saw it.
Not in the camera. That's nice.
I saw it, Sheriff.
Okay.
That's okay, because you've been laughing all day anyway.
Yeah. Okay, enough banter between you all. Let's just ask questions and get answers, please. Okay, so your testimony is that you never read beyond on Exhibit 11, the first page, you think?
Not that I recall.
Okay. Now I'm going to show you what we're going to mark as Exhibit 12, which is a letter from the Bloom firm to Dr. Khan and Gateway Medical Group. Just have you look at that for a moment.
Okay.
Okay, so this is dated July 14, 2020. And do you know what Gateway Medical Group is?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
A group of doctors that practice, I think, primarily in Okeechobee that Dr. Khan was a part of.
Okay, do you know if he was the owner or was he a part of it?
I
Or?
honestly don't know.
Okay, but you're familiar with the group?
Yes, sir.
Did you actually use that group yourself?
I don't think I was ever Dr. Khan's patient at that point, but I did receive funding for many benefits that I was a part of from his group.
Okay, so you personally solicited Dr. Khan's group for charitable events?
I would say that that's a correct statement. I mean, we had a golf tournament that was in a deceased deputy's name for college scholarships, and one of his representatives played in that golf tournament regularly, and through him, I want to say that Gateway Medical was always a several $100 sponsor for the local charity.
Why would you select Gateway to solicit these contributions?
We select anybody that'll donate $100.
Okay.
You know, we're dealing with kids' scholarships, you know, and assistance funds. So, you know, if you were going to donate to the cause, we were going to accept it.
In May of 2020, did you know whether Gateway Medical was still operating?
I don't know.
And when you were soliciting the donations, did you consider Gateway to be a large donor?
I think they were through his representative. They were one of the healthier sponsors that I recall in the 25 plus years I'd done that golf tournament.
Okay. This letter, had you ever seen this letter before?
Not that I recall.
Did Ms. Bishop ever have a discussion with you about a firm called the Bloom firm?
Not that I recall.
Did she have a discussion with you about civil lawyers?
Not that I recall.
Okay. Did you ever see a text message where she referred, or you referred to civil lawyer?
Form.
I
has
think
to
we've already
answer.
talked about that.
Okay. So that's a yes, you have.
Correct.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 13. It's a redacted copy, but it's good enough. This is a person named Jonathan Hendricks sending an email to you, along with to Ashley Albright and Jay Gonzalez.
Okay.
Okay, so this is dated June 26, 2020. Do you
No,
recall?
I'll just object to the form of the question in terms of who it's actually addressed to. You can answer.
Right, excuse me. It's CC to you and someone named Ashley Albright. Do you recall reviewing an email from Mr. Hendricks?
No, sir.
Now, would you get emails to your office
Yes, sir.
address? Okay. And had you ever received emails about criminal cases before?
Probably.
Okay. And this email discusses Detective Taylor at the City Police Department.
Okay.
Do you know who a Detective Taylor is?
Yes, sir.
What's her full name? Her or him?
I don't know the full name. Betty, I think she's married to an Underwood, but we've always known her as Betty Taylor.
Okay. And is she a detective at Okeechobee City Police Department?
Correct.
And did you ever have a conversation with her at any time about some additional potential witnesses regarding Dr. Khan?
Not that I recall.
You make reference to, in one of the text messages with Ms. Bishop about the city, 2 additional persons from the city. And do you know whether your references was based upon this email you received?
No, to the best of my recollection, I don't recall this email at all. That it was either gossip or the newspaper, as I articulated before, that I learned that information.
Okay. So your testimony, you can't recall whether you actually looked at this email, this Exhibit 13.
Correct.
Okay. Now, do you normally look at your emails, or you just let some of them go?
I can't look at every email, sir.
But if it comes from a person named Jonathan Hendricks, would that be an email you would probably look at?
I've got Detective Gonzalez that's assigned the case. I don't get into the circumstances or the weeds of the case. I stay at that 30,000 foot level. So if they need something, it'll be directed at me, not CC'd to me. So if it's not directed to me, I very seldom look or read the entirety of anything.
And so you have no idea why it's CC'd to you, as your testimony?
Sir,
You have no idea why this was CC'd to you, this email?
I never looked at it that I recall.
Okay. Have you participated in controlled calls before as a deputy?
Back in the day, probably.
And do you know generally how controlled calls are set up?
Well, you got to figure. I wasn't in general. Last time in general assignment, doing an investigation was probably. I've been sheriff for 7 years. Prior to that, I was under sheriff for 12. Then I was captain of road patrol for 4. So we're going back 23 years ago. So it's hard for me to recall.
Okay. And did Detective Gonzalez ever share with you the details of the controlled calls that were involved in the Chandler investigation?
No, sir.
Okay. What about any of the details of the Campbell investigation?
I think we've discussed this before, but no, sir.
No, I'm asking whether Detective Gonzalez shared with you.
I want to say we talked about that before, but I didn't talk about the case or anybody. I didn't read any reports. I didn't view any audios, videos, nothing.
Did you know whether Miss Chandler was going through some sort of operation right before she contacted you on May 5th, 2020?
Not that I recall. Once again, that gets into the drama, and when the drama started, I disassociated myself.
You don't recall having conversations with her about her health?
You got the text messages, sir, so
I mean, can we go through them again? I just want to find out if you can recall before
I don't
go through
recall. No, sir.
them. Okay. Oh, yeah, that way.
Picky.
I don't think you're
You didn't get his finger, but you worried about me.
Well, I'm only supposed to be getting you. I don't
Yeah,
want
sir, I
he
know.
doesn't want
My
I'll
bad.
make 2 fingers now,
Yeah. Thank you, Doc.
just to let you know.
If you turn to, on this exhibit, it would be page 28 on the bottom.
Page 28 on the bottom.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
There's a discussion about, well, you actually text her on January 30th, 2020. I'll be praying for you and wishing you good health soon. Could that have been in response to her medical problems, Miss Chandler's medical problems?
Forum, you
That's it.
can answer.
It's evidently to something. I don't know what it is. I mean, whatever happens or communicates before this.
Okay. And you testified to us that Miss Chandler presented you with drama a lot. Is that fair to say? You said you used the word drama?
She's always probably, I think it's fair to say that drama followed her. Yes. sir.
Okay. Was there drama about her divorce with Tony Bishop that you can recall?
Well, as you recall, it's never anything smooth, sir. She's one of those ones that's always something.
And do you know whether at that moment when she was having these problems with Mr. Bishop and a divorce that she was financially not stable?
Forum, you can answer.
No clue.
You had no idea of whether she needed money?
No, sir.
Okay. She ever talked with you about money issues?
Not that I recall.
If you turn back to page 27, if you look at the text message at the bottom, the one in red at the very bottom, if you just read that, you can read it out if you want.
Tony is being terribly difficult, so I told him we will just figure it out in court. I'm not even able to work, and he hasn't offered one dime towards expenses. I chose the wrong cowboy, LOL.
That was on January 30th, 2020. Based upon that text message to you, did you at that moment understand that she had financial difficulties?
I didn't even play into it if you'll read on later on. I just wished her good health.
Right, but do you have any reason to believe that she was not having financial difficulties based on that text?
None of my business. I didn't ask.
Right, but did you have any reason not to believe it? Meaning, had she lied to you in the past?
Forum.
I don't know what answer you're looking for from me for that. I don't have a clue.
Right. Well, what I'm asking you, first of all, has Miss Chandler lied to you on these text messages that you can recall? Has she ever blatantly lied to you about something?
Not that I'm aware of, no, sir.
Okay. Do you have any reason to believe that she was not having a problem financially with?
It's not my place to make an assumption, sir. I don't know.
Right, but do you have any reason not to believe?
I don't have any reason to believe.
Okay. And did she live in a nice house?
They lived in a nice house, yes, sir.
Okay. And you understood she was going through a divorce?
Okay, yes, sir.
And if you go up to the top of the page, there's a conversation about a generator, a $5,000 generator. Do you see that?
Okay.
Okay, and do you recall conversations at all with her about problems she was having with her?
I think my next statement, tells it all. It's it's her statement, but I mean, I don't feed into that drama.
Okay. When she reports to you on this email here, on page 53, if you go to that.
At the bottom, 53.
Yeah, bottom 53, thank you. find it there.
I got 40 to
That's actually
57.
weird. It's before. If you go to the top of page 52 on this exhibit, if you want me to do it, I can get it to you quickly. It should, yeah, I'll just help you out here. It's page 22. When on 5/4/2020, there's a message about I want to make a sexual assault complaint. How come you didn't ask her what's it about?
What's the question?
Well, so at 11:59 p.m. it appears, according to the timestamps here, that there's a message to you. My attorney just told me I need to make a sexual assault complaint tomorrow. And your response is, hello, lady,
The next day,
the next couple minutes later.
a few minutes later, okay.
Hello, lady, either come to the office and see one or call one, assuming it
Okay.
happened here. How come you didn't ask, you weren't concerned about a sexual assault?
Form,
Because it answers the statement that I've been making that it made no difference to me. If she's got something she wants to state, I'm not going to investigate. I don't care necessarily what the parameters are. If she wants to make a complaint, she's got to go through the process.
I understand that part of it, but how come you didn't ask her any details?
Because
Or-
I didn't care.
Or like
Because
what happened?
Because your assumption that I care is not factual, and this is proof of it.
Right, but what I can't understand is you do seem to care about everything else prior to May 5th, 2020, based upon just these text messages. They're just text
That's,
messages.
that's inappropriate text that, that have nothing to do with the case. When the sheriff hat goes on and the flirting guy cat comes off, there's a distinct difference, Counselor.
How do we know when the two hats are on or off?
form,
Based on the verbiage in the text message, I think tells the tale.
So you're saying that in this text message you got your sheriff's hat on.
I think that's a fair assumption, correct?
Okay. And you say assuming it happened here. What did you mean by that?
Because we can't investigate something that didn't happen in my jurisdiction.
Okay. But you don't ask any further questions about whether it actually happened here.
Okay,
Is that fair to say in this text message?
that's fair to say, yes.
Did you pick up the phone and talk to her at that time on or about late hours of May 4th and May 5th, 2020?
No, I don't recall. I doubt it.
Okay. Is it possible you did talk to her on the phone?
You would have the phone records if so.
Okay.
Bless you.
And when you say drama, is it possible this is just drama here? When she's telling you this is sexual assault?
form,
The investigation will reveal that.
Okay. So your point is you can't just take her for her word at it. You need to investigate it.
form,
With anything that we do, that's correct.
And with her,
And then it goes through the process.
and with Miss Chandler, you've learned through your text messages that she's wanting you to get involved in drama. That's how you explain it.
form,
She's one of them
When you say one of them, what does them mean?
that always has drama.
Okay. But drama in the sense of legitimate drama or drama in the sense of...
Don't care whether it's legitimate or not. Don't drag me in the middle of it. And I so often get drug in people's drama quite frequently.
Okay. And you understand your position as sheriff, that's a very dangerous thing to get dragged into.
Correct. But also in the same breath, I'm there to help people. I'm a problem solver. That's what my life is dealing with people at their worst, people in situations. They're never happy to see me or my staff.
Would this have been solved easily if Dr. Khan simply just paid Miss Chandler?
form,
My answer to that would be if Dr. Khan never touched the bosom of the lady, we wouldn't be here today.
Right, but my question was if he just paid her, would that have resolved the problem?
That's not my place to say.
Now, you agree that Dr. Khan could have touched the bosom of the lady and it could have not been a crime.
form,
I agree with that.
Because many times acts between persons aren't criminal, they're consensual.
Form?
I agree with that.
Did you have any conversations with Miss Bishop since these original allegations were made back in May of 2020? Have you sat down and met with her, for example?
I don't think we have.
Other than the text messages we've been reviewing, did you call her on the phone and talk to her after the allegations were made?
It's possible. I don't recall.
Okay. Do you even know where she lives now?
I'm not the Orlando area, I think, but that's a pure assumption. I don't know.
Okay. And what about Miss Campbell? Did you have any conversation? Have you had any conversations with her since the allegations were made?
I think we've seen each other at a function, but it's nothing to do. We don't think we've ever talked about this case.
Okay. And you know, Miss Campbell brought criminal charges as well.
Okay.
Do you know? You
No,
weren't
sir.
familiar?
No, sir.
Okay. Did you ever talk to Detective Gonzalez about any of his investigation involving Campbell?
I don't recall any specifics to do with anybody, and I think we already talked about that, the additional alleged victims.
Did you have any other conversations with Dr. Khan other than the two you've testified about today after the incident?
To my knowledge, that was the last time we talked,
Okay.
other than today.
And did you personally see any media coverage of the allegations by Miss Chandler or any other witness?
Not that I recall.
But you said that in one of the texts you must have seen something in the news. Do you recall that?
Newspaper, news, or something. It's possible. I mean,
Okay.
that's the.
Did you have a conversation with Dr. Khan about something you saw in the news?
No, I think the only conversation Dr. Khan and I had was about the newspaper that fired me up,
And when you say fired you up, what does that mean?
because there was a lie that was stated in there, best of my recollection.
What was the lie?
I can't remember.
So there was a lie in the newspaper that fired you up that prompted you to call Dr. Khan.
Correct.
Okay. And do you know who made the lie?
Dr. Khan stated in the paper. That's why I called it.
You're saying that Dr.
We've already
Khan...
talked about this, Counsel.
No, I haven't.
Yes, we have.
I have not asked you details about what Dr. Khan said in any newspaper. So what did Dr. Khan say in the newspaper?
Don't recall.
And you're sure Dr. Khan made a statement in
That's
the
why I
newspaper?
called him.
You're sure he made a statement in the newspaper?
Hence why I called him.
Okay. And can you recall what newspaper?
Okeechobee News, I think.
Okay. And when you say Dr. Khan, do you mean maybe his agent or a lawyer or somebody?
That's why I called Dr. Khan, best of my recollection. Went straight to the horse.
Okay. And do you recall what he said?
Something that upset me, that I didn't feel was fair and right.
No, I'm sorry. Do you recall what he said when you went straight to the horse, meaning to Dr. Khan?
Best of my recollection, we agreed and settled our differences. We didn't talk very long at all. Of course, you have the conversation. I don't recall the length of the conversation, but we worked it out, best of my recollection.
And do you remember what you worked out?
Just that he saw my point. I don't know if we ever agreed, honestly, because I don't recall the exact conversation. But I got my point. You know, I said my piece.
Is there a Detective Hurst that works in your sheriff's office?
Well, I mean, they switch around. So when you say that, you have a first name?
Nope, just Hurst.
I had a Matt Hurst. I've got a father and son that both work with me. One's first name is Matt, and the second one is Cody. So I think that Matt was in investigations for a while.
What about a Lieutenant Thomas?
Yes, Randy Thomas.
He worked there as well?
Yes, sir.
Did you ask either of those persons, Hurst or Thomas, to assign the Chandler complaint to Mr. Gonzalez?
Well, not that I recall.
Okay. Did you ask anyone to assign the case to Mr. Gonzalez?
Not that I recall.
And you have no independent knowledge as to why Deputy Reno didn't continue on the case?
Especially these type of cases, that's not protocol. What normally happens, as I stated before, is that the initial deputy will take a report, and because of the significance of these type of investigations, it gets assigned normally the next business day to an investigator, or if it meets the level that an investigator needs to work on it at that point, then they're called out after hours.
And just help me understand your answer. When you say these type of investigations, quote unquote, what do you mean?
Sexual in nature allegations.
Okay. Not just a simple battery case, but you're saying it's sexual in nature.
Correct. The innuendo was made.
And as to Detective Gonzalez, did he ever request, or was he up for promotion at any time?
I don't recall.
Who handles promotions in your office?
Command staff.
And who ultimately has final authority as to who gets promoted?
Me.
Okay. Do you know whether Detective Gonzalez was ever promoted since May of 2020?
Oh, I think so. Yes, sir.
And what was he promoted to?
Sergeant, I think.
And were you the person who approved his promotion?
If he got promoted to a sergeant, yes, sir.
Okay. And then at some point he testified he went to animal control or something of that nature?
I routinely move my folks around from investigations to road patrol, those to grow them. And then he has his most recent assignment was transferred to run animal control. But I think that he was already a sergeant and transferred into another sergeant's position in a different division.
Okay. There was a person involved in this named Monique Trent, Trent. Are you familiar with who she is?
I know of her.
And how do you know of her?
Just an Okeechobee citizen.
Right, but how do you know of her? Like, do you associate with her? Have you?
No, she's just an Okeechobee citizen.
How many Okeechobee citizens are there?
40,000.
So do you know them all?
Just about.
Okay. And that's Okeechobee County or city?
Both.
Okay. So the county and city are about 40,000 people?
Correct.
Okay. And so you just know her because she's a resident in Okeechobee County?
Between that and probably social media, so it's I think that we're friends there.
Okay. Are you friends with a lot of persons on social media?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when I say social media, is that Facebook?
One of the many platforms that I do: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and I think there's another one. So Snapchat. There's four or five.
Okay. Okay, I have an exhibit. 1 second. Just find it. No, I haven't put it there yet. It's here somewhere. 1 second.
This one need to go over here.
I think that's a copy. Yeah, that's a copy.
Oh, the yellow. Makes it ours.
I'll figure it out.
Okay. Pardon me 1 second. There's just an exhibit. Oh, here it is. Wheel number.
14. That's gonna be 14.
Excellent. I haven't marked as 14. I don't know how I did that. You had mentioned social media. I'm just showing you Facebook posts, and see if you're familiar with this Facebook post.
Okay.
April 7th, would that have been April 7th of this year?
Correct.
Okay, and what was the purpose of this post?
Form you can answer.
I've got three opponents in this election currently. And one of them made a statement on social media that I had done something that I had not. And so I made this post. It was to do with a sign being that he had placed in a business, and that I had said something to the proprietor to have the sign removed. And so I stated this on social media, and then I called both of two of the three opponents that were badgering me, if you will, on social media, asking them to call me.
So did they actually end up calling you?
One of the two did.
Okay. And was that for you to say your piece?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you did that as a sheriff, right?
Yes.
And has anyone made any allegation of misconduct against you regarding this case, meaning what's been alleged in the civil case?
Absolutely.
Okay. So you're saying that are they opponents that have made these allegations?
No, that it's mostly non-political opponents making the allegations, although I think it's fed by them.
Okay. And obviously you want to dispel any of those rumors, right?
There's really, I have fed that myself with my misappropriation or my inappropriate tests, let's call them. So that's my own doing, my own demise. That's something I have to be accountable for. But all the other stuff, as what's been stated in this lawsuit, that, to the effect of this is not a lawsuit in how they're articulating it, they're saying this is an indictment.
Who's they? Who's saying that?
Some of these people that are spreading the rumors.
Okay. So they're saying that they've looked at this.
Yes, if you can find this, you can find those easily.
Okay. Did the Florida Department of Law Enforcement ever instigate an investigation against you for the use of inmate labor?
No, sir.
And did you ever receive any inquiry from them?
No.
And did you ever receive any inquiry from the U.S. Attorney's Office?
No, sir.
Form.
Okay. And when I say inquiry, I mean regarding that issue. And what do you understand inmate labor can be used for?
Form.
To better the community, to help nonprofits, exactly what I use them for.
Can they be used for weddings?
When we do weddings for our staff to save them money, I purchase tents, tables, and chairs with confiscated drug monies. So I take my sentenced inmates and I have them to give back to the community, and I assign an officer to that. So mostly nonprofits, and as you've seen in the calendars, people doing benefits, we'll set the tent, tables, and chairs up for them so they can have a function and not have to pay for that service.
But go ahead.
And then I allow my staff as a benefit and as a perk to work on retention. If they have a private function, a family function, a wedding, I think there were two staff members, matter of fact, getting married there. And they're also allowed to use the tent, and that's a little give back that we do. And yes, the inmates do put the tents up, set the tables and chairs up, and take them down for them.
And the inmates are required to do that.
Well, that's part of their, as statutory obligated, I can give them 5 days of gain time a month. So when they come out and they work, they get extra time for doing that extra work. So normally I'll give them, the inmates that come out and work on that crew. They also mow county parks, county facilities. They'll go to the roadways, pick up garbage or trash if it falls out of the back of the truck. They'll go to a real congested, grown up intersection, and they're used. Most of them are drug addicts that are reoccurring. I'm now seeing third generation coming through the jail. So I use this as a thing for them to give back to the community and get them connected and have something to be proud of.
Now, the forfeiture money you talked about, you said you used the forfeiture money to purchase the chairs and tents and things?
Correct.
Forum,
But then you use those chairs, you said, for private weddings?
forum.
On occasion, for staff members that, they're loaned out to staff, they're loaned out to nonprofits.
And what's the public purpose for the use of those items for a private wedding, for example?
I'm working on retention of employees as much as I can, and the staffing issues that we have today, this is a perk that the staffers get.
So that's what you believe is a public purpose?
Correct.
And so when Ms. Chandler made these requests to you, you believe that supplying the inmate labor and the supplies that we've discussed in that first exhibit, Exhibit 1, was for a public purpose?
I don't think there's any supplies other than labor.
Well, I think there were things that had to be set up. I want to go back to Exhibit 1 for a moment. We'll go back there. With with Miss Chandler, there was assisting 3 hours with the butterfly garden,
That was labor.
but with these other ones, it was 60 chairs,
Tents,
10
tables, and chairs.
tents, tables, and chairs, and tear down. Is that
Tents,
fair?
tables, and chairs.
Yeah, I see. One says concrete. What does that mean?
I don't have a clue what you're looking at.
Page 2 of Exhibit 1.
The tents are you're 20 by 40.
Okay.
So we can't always put the nail down, drive down stakes to hold that 20 by 40 down.
Right.
So the concrete is in barrels, 55-gallon barrels cut off that they put down, and they anchor the tent with that so it can sit on a asphalt parking lot, so
Okay.
forth, that we can't drive a stake into.
Okay, that's good. We are almost done. We're going to take a last break, see if we can finalize what I want to do, and then we'll go. Are you okay?
We're off the record, the time is
Yes.
1:49 p.m. We're on the record, the time is 2:04 p.m.
Okay, thank you. We're back. We're okay. I'm going to mark this as Exhibit 15. Actually, this is a little easier if I do this.
And you only had one copy of 10, so we're going to get that from the court reporter, I guess?
Yeah, what was 10?
Or was it 10? Was it? I think 10. It was his wife's response.
Yes, we'll get an extra copy of number 10.
Okay.
And you're skipping 14 right now, right?
Wait, 14 was our last one, I think.
I think so.
What was it? It was
Okay.
that was the Facebook post, I
Yeah,
believe.
14. Okay. So 15 is I'm showing you a text message with Dr. Khan, between you and Dr. Khan, and I'm giving you a copy. This is the best I can give you right now. Okay, sir, I'm showing you what's been marked as Exhibit 15. Earlier, we discussed in this deposition in Exhibit 6 a call of September 24th, 2020 between you and Dr. Khan, where you've explained already what the call was about. Showing you what we have is a text message between the two of you. Could you review it for a moment?
That's,
It's cut off there, but this copy is better.
yeah, I'm just trying to figure it out.
Still hard to follow.
Okay, first one I want to ask you is, do you ever recall getting a text message from Dr. Khan on September 24th, 2020, around 6:20 p.m.?
No, I don't recall.
Okay. And for our records, the incoming call that you made to him was at 5:02 p.m. for 7 minutes that same day. This, I guess, would be approximately an hour later. Do you ever remember getting a text message that reflected in Exhibit 15 that attached an article from the Okeechobee County News?
I'm still struggling trying to follow, because I guess maybe the name's wrong. Not knowing who sent what. I don't recall this, but it does look like it might be a conversation between the doc and I.
Okay. Would there have been a conversation regarding a comment that had been made in the paper and you basically said you never made a comment in the paper?
I don't know if this was based on the conversation that we had, as I don't recall all the entirety of that.
Okay.
You know, and what that prompted this, it looks like that would be after maybe the conversation, and he had a chance to go look at the article that I was upset about. And once again, it looks like it's a concession that he understands where I was at. Because I wasn't talking about the case other than probably what he was saying that had me fired up.
Okay. So does this text message at all help you understand the conversation you were having on September 24th, 2020?
I'm still confused trying to follow what, you know,
Well,
only having part of the information, not having the article itself. I don't know.
Do you still have your cell phone records from this date?
I'm sure we do. Yeah, I'm sure
Okay.
that's.
So you could look through your records on September 24th, 2020 and be able to see the actual
I
exchange
don't know that
between
I can
you?
look at. I think it could be downloaded or public record requested, you know, and achieved, you know.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't know. You know, this is not. I don't think going to show the whole article, or if this, you know, I don't know.
Right. Well, what I'm just trying to get
This
at
is
is the
screenshot.
conversation between you and him. Do you believe that you would have typed the statement that's in here? Never have I made a statement about this case to anyone. Just know you're wrong in your assumptions, but you're entitled to your opinion. Could that have been you stating that?
It's possible.
Okay. And then could you have said at the end, yes, sir, I agree completely, and also cannot imagine the stress you and your family have been placed under?
Once again, this was Noel to Dr. Kahn, not asking him any questions that it relates to the case, other than being upset about whatever was in the article.
Okay. Could that have been your response, though, about...
This very well could be me, yes, sir.
Okay. And you recognize, at least as of September 4th, 2020, that him and his family were going through major stress from this case.
Once again, this depicts the friendship that we had and the caring that I had of him.
Okay.
You know, the friendship that you minimize that I say that we had.
Okay, I understand. At the beginning of this deposition, however, you told us that you categorically believed Miss Chandler and what had happened. You recall that conversation?
I don't recall that. I don't necessarily think that I said that I believe anybody over the other one. It's the responsibility of the system, and then the system still doesn't reflect right or wrong.
Okay. What about these additional victims that came forward? Did Miss Chandler ever talk with you about additional victims?
Never discussed it.
Okay.
That I recall.
Okay. And can you understand that if you actually call a citizen who's under prosecution, they may at least feel intimidated by talking to the sheriff?
Not the relationship that Dr. Kahn and I had. Dr. Kahn didn't think anything about calling me about things, about patients, about problems, about questions.
Okay. Anything else? Let me just make sure. Have you talked to Tony Bishop about this case or about this civil lawsuit since the original time? Since the original allegation was made on May 5th, 2020?
I don't think Tony Bishop, I don't recall ever talking to Tony Bishop about this case at all.
Okay. And we asked you some questions about a person named DiLoretto. You're saying you don't know who this person, Alfred DiLoretto, is?
No, sir.
What about someone named Cheryl Griffin?
No, sir.
Okay. Has Ms. Chandler ever reached out to you in the since May of 2020 to help her in the civil case that she has filed against her by Dr. Khan?
She has reached out a couple of times. We ended up sending her a letter not to reach out to me anymore, to go strictly to counsel.
Okay.
You know.
So were those emails that she sent to you?
No, letters and stuff.
So how would I ask or receive those letters? Would they
Just through Rich, I think that you got some of the letters, or Adam Fetterman will have the letter that he sent.
Okay, so there's a letter from a law firm to her and then letters to you
Yes, sir.
from Ms. Chandler?
Should be, yes. Sir.
Okay, so we can get those and review them?
Yes.
Beyond the letters that she sent you, did she ever try to call you on the phone?
I think there was some other text messages that were sent that I never replied to,
Okay.
that you'll have to request. But I think that there are a couple of text messages in there too.
After she lost the criminal trial, did she ever call you and express concern?
I don't recall ever talking about the case at all. Once the drama and all this kind of what you have here, I don't think there was any other than her other things that she was asking and doing, which you'll see in the letters.
Did she
But
ever?
there's been no direct contact between she and I.
Okay, so you never had a conversation with her about how the civil case that turned out?
No, sir.
And were you ever asked to give a statement by any agent of the Department of Health?
No, sir.
Anything else? That's good. So that's what we have so far. I assume you don't. Do you have any? Sheriff, you have the right to read or waive the right to read. You know this.
Read, please.
Thank you for being here for 4 hours without lunch. Appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Are you gonna order, Val, or?
Yeah, we'll order.
All right, I'll have a copy.
You should have all your exhibits.
And I'll,
We're off the record, the time is 2:14 PM.